Okay, hello, my colleagues all over the world, and it's a great pleasure to me, really, to accompany you throughout this journey, exploring this interesting topic, Teaching Unplugged to Reshape Classroom Practices. My name is Mohamed Al Mohamady. I'm a CELTA tutor with CELTA Athens in Greece. I'm also an assessment coordinator at the Saudi Petroleum Services Polytechnic in Saudi Arabia. I have been teaching and training for about 20 years now. I'm a CELTA and Delta holder, and let's get the ball rolling. The main objective of this presentation is mainly about familiarizing you, my respectful colleagues, with the approach of teaching unplugged and how it could be used in our classes in order to reshape our traditional classroom practices for ensuring or providing our learners with a more effective and successful learning experience. For our agenda, we have 3 items. We're going to start with a dogma demo, which will help you to visualize the process, how it works, and how it could be implemented in our classes. Then we'll move a little bit to dig deeper what is dogma, what are the main principles or the 3 main precepts. And because of the time constraints, we're not going to have much time to cover this in detail. So I have a small gift for all of you after we finish. I can share with you this nice book, Teaching Unplugged by Meddings and Scott Thornbury, if you are interested to explore dogma more. Then we're going to conclude with reshaping classroom practices. And for this part, I prepared some thoughts that can help you to understand how dogma can modify your plans, your activities, the type of interaction in your classes in order to provide learners with a better learning experience. Are you ready for some fun? Before we start, just hit a yes in the chat box, please, so I know that you are still with me. Excellent. Yes, 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 yes. I like that. That's great. Thank you so much. So first of all, I'd like you to watch a short video for about 3 minutes to answer this question. What are the general features of a lesson like this that you're going to observe now? You can think of the teacher's role. You can think of the type of interaction that's going on. Think about the level of motivation, the types of materials that are used, if any, or any other aspects that you may observe. Are you ready for that?
Would you please, Mr. Mohammed, try the camera again?
Perfect. Yes, I like that. This is how it works now.
Perfect. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Rami. Okay, now real fun starts. Please confirm that you can hear the recording of the video now. Is it audible to you all?
Yes, it's audible, yes.
Perfect. Are you ready for the task? Let's do it. I'm going to use some of this board here, and then I'd like you to look around you the walls and have some cards. Agree, disagree, I'm not sure. Start now talking with your friends, expressing your ideas, why you agree, disagree, I'm not sure. also funny. It's not only interesting, but also funny. Please say it.
It's not only.
Yeah. Please start.
It's not only interesting, but also fun.
Good. Please.
It's not only interesting, but also.
Very good. It's not only how can I change this? There is interesting things. Okay. It's not only interested. Any adjective, any other adjective. Very good. It's not only amazing, but also what? Okay. Pleasing. Pleasing. Famous. Okay, good. So say it again, please.
It is not only amazing, but also famous.
We can. Thank you very much. Excellent.
We can have fun.
It's perfect. Great. A lot of. Excellent. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. And now it's your turn now. In the chat box, please share your thoughts and notes. What are the general features of a lesson like this? Teacher is just a guide, yes. Monitoring. The interaction is teacher, student, 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 and student teacher later. That's right. Learner engagement. I like this term. Learner engagement. Material light. Thank you, Mike. An interactive lesson. Communication, blah, blah, wow. No material started. Excellent. Energetic. Are you sure about this? Organized. More student-centered. That's right. I agree. New order in the class settings. I like this term as well. So this is something new. And we need to be more innovative and creative in our classes. Initiated meaning to find more examples. Wow. You are great. You are marvelous. It's fine. Thank you so much. I think this is a promising start. Thank you so much for this rich input that you have already shared with us. And now let's move on. When we talk about Teaching Unplugged, we need to mention the name of this man, Scott Thornberry, the father of dogma, as it is famous for. And he is a great language education author who contributed immensely in the field of English language teaching and supported thousands of teachers around the globe. And I had the chance to meet him in Bahrain 2 years ago and to have a quick chat about dogma while we were taking part in a conference there. My question to you now, what do you know about dogma? In the chat box, if you type some notes quickly. Yes, dogma is another name, another term for Teaching Unplugged. We're going to talk about its origins now. That's right, like material. That's right, step into the class without a lesson plan. Yes, and okay, that's right. Semi-plan. New role for the teacher, that's right. Thank you so much. This is good, this is very good. Okay, so dogma is defined as a term taken from the filmmaking or the film industry, Dogma 95, which was a filmmaking movement started in 1995 by a Danish director, Lars von Trier, who has his own vision about a new way of making films that focuses more on the value of the story, the acting, the theme, real scenes, and trying to exclude this kind of excessive use of technology or elaborate special effects. In the same manner, Scott tried to transfer the same attitude in English language teaching classrooms by this kind of making the classrooms should be more or should be rid of excessive use of materials, publications, textbooks, or resources, in order to give some more focus on this kind of inner life of the students and real communication. He thinks that, I'm talking about Scott, that language is communication and communication is language. And when we compare this with the theories of learning languages, we are going to find that the main goal of learning any language is successful communication later. So from this point of view, he just considers the goal of learning language is the means to achieve the goal. The goal is more real communication, and we're using the real communication as a means to enhance the learning of the language itself. Interesting, right? Let's dig deeper a little bit and know the three main precepts about dogma. As you mentioned, it's something about conversation driven, because in real life situations, it's all about communicating with each other via the language, via interaction, via conversation and talking. And we are trying now to transfer this kind of real life situations into the class via communicative tasks that help the students to speak more. And here comes the first role of the teacher, to trigger this kind of conversation or talk by planning some topic of interest to the learners to start negotiating or sharing their ideas on. Later on, we noticed something that you mentioned, that there was no kind of textbooks. And we say, I can't say it's completely no materials at all, but we say here, it's more preferable to use student-produced materials. Anything that's produced by the learners rather than prepared or planned or fixed molds of textbooks or worksheets that are prepared for an artificial learning experience. Or we can allow, for example, papers, pens, anything that can be produced by the learners via, for example, their spoken language, the written text that they are going to produce during the lesson. Any recordings recorded by the students themselves are acceptable, are fine. The third and the most important part is the emergent language. And this is the starting point of the real learning in this type of lessons. Here comes the second part, or the second important role of the teacher in the process here, to scaffold the learning process by picking, by his monitoring, some chunks of the language to be highlighted, repeated, drilled, clarified in detail later, and encouraging learners to give some focus on these chunks to acquire them based on their production during the activity itself. Okay, how can dogma reshape our classroom practice? Firstly, it allows for more control by the learners, unlike our traditional way that we start the lesson with pre-planned content that you're going to deliver based on the book that you are using in your institution or in your school, and you are guiding the students to learn this by the end of the lesson. However, here the control is more by the learners because they are directing the flow of the lesson itself via their own production, and then you monitor and pick something that's relevant to their needs to be highlighted by the end of the lesson. It also increases this level of motivation and communication as well. I think this was very clear during observing the demo. And for this part, do you agree with me that their body language, facial expressions, and gestures prove that they were more motivated, more engaged, and were willing to communicate? You agree or not? That's right, thank you. So, and to prove this, this was a class of 18 trainees, and I've conducted a kind of questionnaire to collect some data, and these were the findings. As you can see, most of them, I don't say that I got 100% consensus on the effectiveness or that all of them were interested in the topic or using this approach in the class. However, the majority liked it, were very interested. They expressed that they learned a lot. They found that it was a good chance for them to share more and express their own ideas in freely and with more focus on their own ideas. Also, they like different types, like talking in pairs, unlike just working with the textbook or individually. So they love working together to speak more and to make new examples of the chunks that they were grasped by the end, or they had grasped by the end of the lesson, or were highlighted by the teacher. One more important thing here, as you mentioned in the first question that we shared together, it's about more learner-centered. So here they thought that my talk in the class was enough, was appropriate, because I allowed them to speak more. And this was a very good point for them. Another point that...
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Mohammed, but just we have like 3 more minutes for presentation time, so we can receive some questions in the last 5 minutes.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. Okay, so moving on to this part, this is also some of their comments. Of course, you're going to, I'm going to share this presentation with you after the session. You can read them quickly. But as you can see, the source or the major points about fun, more production, they love studying grammar using this technique because it was something new to them. A lot of information could be shared. Exploring learners' needs, rare needs, which is a major point that helps you to design more effective lessons. For example, if you discover that they are struggling with a specific topic due to lack of ideas or information, or inability to use some grammatical constructions, or lack of vocabulary, you can think about this and make use of to plan another lesson to cover this by planning listening or reading lessons to provide them with ideas, or planning a specific grammatical construction to be delivered, or a set of vocabulary to be highlighted. One more thing about it is about when you do something, if you do the same thing many times, if you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. And our learners need something new from time to time. And to expect something new, a new outcome out of them, we need to give them something as well, creative or new, that they haven't experienced before. It allows you for more creativity. It allows for more space for learners to participate and to be more active learners and to share more ideas. My question to you now, what if we can integrate dogma with our traditional methods? What will be the outcome? I know that it's difficult to apply it entirely in our lessons, and because of the restrictions of the textbooks, and we are preparing our learners for specific lessons or tests by the end, it's fine. But I mean, we can make use of this in some lessons or in some parts of our lessons as well. Exactly. Self-esteem, more speaking in class, blended learning, the outcome would be bridging the gap between the learner needs and the syllabus. Excellent point. This is what I meant here, by the way, when I mentioned something about knowing or exploring the real needs of our learners and reshaping, redesigning the following lessons to address their needs so they can show progress effectively and on the point. More productive, exactly. Thank you so much, Ali. Dealing with emerging language. Great. Thank you, Ilham.
Okay, it's actually 8:50 now, so we still have 5 minutes for the questions. We have actually a couple of questions already in the Q&A section. If you'd like to have a look at them and kindly, like within the coming 4 minutes, try to answer
point.
them.
So for Noha's question is about, do you think, or not, how can we teach grammar using dogma? Perfect question. For example, if I want to teach narrative tenses like past simple, past continuous, and so on, I can design some topics that encourages my learners to talk about their past or last holiday, for example, or an interesting experience that they had when they visited a different place. And at this time, they are obliged to use some of their knowledge about past tenses. And via their production, I can just elicit some marker sentences, some chunks that are used for the past tense, past simple, past continuous, past perfect, to be highlighted later from their own production. And then I can recycle this, drill this, and highlight the meaningful pronunciation, and ask them to produce more language. So the source over here is not going to be the book itself. It will be the context that I'm going to get out of their own production. Another question, how can you make an effective lesson? This is too vague, an effective lesson. By the way, an effective lesson doesn't mean that you adopt just one unique or solid or an individual technique. You can integrate, you can be using an eclectic approach or an integrated approach that helps you to address different types of learning styles, different needs at the same time. Do you think in the light of shifting to online teaching, dogma still has a role? Well, it all depends on your planning. I mean, teaching online now with using, for example, the breakout rooms provides you with the chance to increase this portion of pair work and group work. And I think with online platforms like Zoom, like Big Blue Button, like Adobe, all of them just provides now two parts or a part for breakout rooms that helps you to motivate or engage learners in pair and group work. So you can just adjust the tasks as well and encourage them to participate. You go through the breakout rooms to monitor and pick the emergent language as well. How can we use dogma with academic writing? I like this question. By the way, Scott Thornberry just conducted a similar activity like this. As I told you, it's not only about spoken language, but you can design also some tasks and you can ask them to write something about, for example, an argument or what they think about a problem or a solution or something like this. And again, you can collect samples from their production and to start reshaping this by the end of the lesson to highlight certain features of a genre that you want to address in the lesson itself. But again, the starting point was about exploring their own production to spot their weaknesses and to, for example, make use of the target language that was produced to be highlight the good use of language as well. I hope I answered your questions. Any other questions here? I think that's it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mohammed, for a magnificent presentation and a really useful and beneficial discussion. Your efforts are really appreciated. And thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure really to be with you all today. By the way, this is my name on social media. I welcome keeping in touch from all of you on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, or YouTube. And by the way, I didn't forget my gift to you all. Just contact me and I will provide you with this book, Teaching Unplugged by Meddings and Scott Thornberry, to cover these areas that we didn't have much time to cover this time. Thanks so much. I wish you all the best. Enjoy the rest of the other sessions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mohammed. It was an honor having you here. And